In the beginning episodes of the series, we are introduced to Milo Rodericks, an ex-astrophysicist. He sends out a communication from the remains of a city devastated by an apocalypse, claiming that he is the last existing human. The storyline then moves back in time to 2016, a time marred by conflict, disease, and poverty. Young Milo, a New Yorker bound to a wheelchair, harbors dreams of a scientific career. Meanwhile, in Missouri, a farmer named Ricky Stormgren carries on with his regular life. Without warning, a colossal spaceship appears, hovering motionless before silently dropping in a field, marking the onset of unexplained occurrences. Soon enough, global cellular connectivity ceases, and enormous extraterrestrial craft are seen in the skies of numerous major cities, causing people to gaze, horrified, anticipating the worst, yet all human aircraft land safely. Then, people start seeing their deceased loved ones, being used as communication mediums by Corellin, the Earth's overseer. The alien intelligence, appearing in human form, claims to have come to eradicate war, hunger, and inequality, and to bring about a utopian era. The newcomers, called the Overlords, are not here to conquer Earth, but to help humans create an ideal world. Naturally, this astounding revelation is met with skepticism. Would you trust the extraterrestrials? Would you resist or submit to their advanced minds? Please share your views in the comments. The news reports of sudden peace all around the globe reach Ricky and his wife Ellie. The Missourian townsfolk are apprehensive about the alien arrival, but Ricky, a local leader, pacifies the crowd and advises slow and steady observation of the extraordinary happenings. Evening arrives, and all electric gadgets in Ricky and Ellie's home go haywire. Soon, their house starts shaking violently, and the frightened pair, with their dog, take shelter in the basement. An eerie green light filters through the home fissures, and a mysterious force begins to disintegrate the house until Ricky steps out to see the alien drone. Ricky consents to accompany the extraterrestrials, although he implores them not to bother his loved ones. Once inside the unfamiliar spacecraft, he is amazed to find himself inside an opulent hotel suite reminiscent of his past honeymoon with his deceased wife, Annabelle. Mourning Annabelle's demise due to cancer, Ricky finds it difficult to move on, and is even involved in a new relationship. The voice of Corellin suddenly resonates within the room, suggesting Ricky could play the role of an emissary between the overlords and mankind. Ricky is uninterested in being manipulated by Corellin and is puzzled why he was chosen for this mission. Corellin nevertheless is persistent and presents Ricky with an enigmatic item shrouded in mystery. As the news of extraterrestrial presence in Missouri spread, Ricky's home becomes the epicenter of media attention. Government agent Paul Danlow arrives with a motive to decipher Ricky's dealing with Corellin. Spotting an alien relic within Ricky's possession, Danlow insists on safeguarding it. Ricky declines, prompting Danlow to point a firearm at him. Ricky unintentionally uncovers the function of the alien object, resulting in a worldwide disappearance of illnesses. He is then escorted to the White House to describe his interactions with Corellin, explaining the advantages of collaboration. Yet most people remain suspicious of the extraterrestrials. Media tycoon Hugo Wainwright believes they pose a greater threat than is let on, and forms an opposition group, the Freedom League, which further amplifies collective distrust towards the overlords. Over time, Ricky informs Corellin of the societal unrest and reports the Freedom League's growing influence. While individuals are concerned about being led by their own kind, Corellin assures them that the extraterrestrials are distinctly unhuman. Amid this discord, Milo, a young boy, sets out to find his mother, who cherishes snow sniffing. As she quarrels with a dealer, Milo comes to her defense, only to get shot. Suddenly, a beam of light materializes from the heavens, miraculously punishing the felon and reviving Milo, who astonishingly rises from his wheelchair and regains his mobility. Wainwright justified aliens' retribution on a television program, but completely avoided mentioning the supernatural healing of a young lad. The host proposed reaching another alien casualty. Peretta Jones, a devout girl whose mother gave up on life due to losing her faith because of the Overlord's features in the conversation. Jones worries her descendants will lack the knowledge of the divine being. Her story is manipulated by the Freedom League as an extra justification against the Overlord's control. Intriguingly, Wainwright organizes a plan to kidnap Ricky and attempts to get him to stand by the Freedom League. Ricky defies them, and as they're about to harm him, Corellin intervenes, pauses time, and enables Ricky's escape. Exposure of Wainwright's plot to abduct Ricky spread globally, with the intention of damaging the Freedom League's reputation, showing their readiness to employ any strategy to succeed. Ricky, in a conversation with Corellin, demands that Corellin reveal his real identity to humans, but Corellin insists they are unprepared for this. Corellin discloses that their help extends beyond just humans and ceases ties with a disturbed Ricky. Concurrently, news emerges of Hugo Wainwright's voluntary passing, marking the collapse of resistance against the aliens and the commencement of humanity's subjugation by them. Skip ahead 15 years, Milo, now a university graduate, starts his career in astrophysics. The public appreciates the promise of undying youth and terrestrial paradise, while anticipating an encounter with the overlords, referred to as their protective spirits. The grand revelation by the overlords is at hand. As their colossal ship surfaces in the sky, multitudes of people impatiently anticipate meeting their benefactors. In the midst of all this, Jake Gregson's family congregates in front of the screen to watch the extraordinary event unfold. Two children are tasked with the ceremonial introduction of Corellin, whose demon-like physical appearance astounds everyone. If confronted with such a shocking reality, would Corellin's horrific appearance influence your perception of the overlords, or would you assess them solely based on their acts of benevolence? We welcome your opinions in the comments. We found ourselves in the year 2035. Mankind has formed into a united entity, living in peace and harmony, free of diseases and worry. But for those rebelling against the authority of the overlords, New Athens remains the final sanctuary. In the African continent, Milo and his colleague Rachel operate in a research facility, under the leadership of Dr. Boyce. Regrettably, Milo's recent project meets its end, resulting in the loss of his job. His interest now revolves around studying the overlords, a secretive group revealing scant information about themselves in the past 19 years. Peretta Jones, on the other hand, remains suspicious of the overlords. Her exploration of vast literature leads her to believe that Corellin is a demonic entity, with Ricky acting as the deceitful prophet. Once more, a beam of light guides Ricky to a meeting with Corellin in his barn. Taken aback by the unexpected meeting, Ricky listens to Corellin's admission of guilt and his disclosure of truth. The following day, the world is tossed into confusion and apprehension over Corellin's visit to Ricky's farm. Meanwhile, an unexpected tremble shakes Dr. Boyce's African Research Institute. Rushing to the agitated animals, Rachel observes an unordinary glimmer in a monkey's eyes. As the tremors ease, Dr. Boyce uncovers a mysterious room housing a glowing Ouija board, believed to be a satanic tool in religious doctrines. That night, an alien drone illuminates all members in Jake Gregson's house with a green light. The beam halts at Amy's abdomen, Jake's wife, triggering the sudden activation of the Ouija board. The vision-plagued Amy becomes restless as the drone departs. In an unforeseen event, their son Tommy goes missing, but Jake finds him in the barn, the boy now exhibiting extraordinary strength. Eventually, Jake and Amy turn to psychotherapist Peretta Jones, seeking help for their son's peculiar behavior. During a dialogue with Peretta, Tommy discloses that the overlords regularly transport him to an enigmatic remote locale where he encounters an enormous eye and visions of a burning earth. Abruptly, his narration is disrupted by an unnerving sound in his mind which leads him to dash through the house, barely missing injuring Peretta in his powerful state, corrupting her crucifix. He then touches his mother's womb, claiming the unborn was no longer sobbing. However, a surprised Amy asserts that she isn't with child. Simultaneously, in Africa, both Milo and Rachel exhibit apprehension over the abnormal behavior of the wildlife and speculate a connection to the selection of Earth's species by the overlords. Despite Dr. Boyce's suggestion to steer clear of Corellin's matters, the pair remain resolved to unravel the truth about the overlords. In the midst of these events, Ricky starts suffering from extreme hand pain and discovers at the hospital that he has cancer and sterility from the poison-coated spaceship hull. Ellie remains hopeful that Corellin will aid Ricky, given his past services for him. Fast forward 4 months, and Jake and Amy are hit with the news that they are expecting a daughter. The couple have fun naming their future child while Jake and Tommy hang out in their garden. Unexpectedly, Tommy instructs his father to reach out to Jennifer, unknowingly echoing Amy's decision to name their daughter Jennifer. Subsequently, at Corellin's behest, Dr. Boyce proposes a job in Africa to Jake and invites the entire clan to a grand gala. Upon arrival at the enigmatic function, Jake is alerted by Milo that Dr. Boyce is not recruiting, raising Jake's suspicions. He suggests Amy depart, but not before locating Tommy. Dr. Boyce soon closes in on Amy to relay that Corellin desires an audience with her. She is then ushered into a room where she is persuaded to meddle with a Ouija board. This action results in Corellin stirring Jennifer to life inside her womb, establishing that she isn't an average human and is destined to embrace her uniqueness. Corellin prophesizes that Jennifer will guide the other children and become Earth's savior. The following day, Corellin pays another visit to Ricky, this time gifting him a gadget capable of healing him. Peretta, who's been residing near the farm for a while now, suddenly storms the barn. She speaks harshly at Corellin, accusing her of deceit. Corellin owns up to causing Ricky's inability to have children. Ricky is confounded, failing to comprehend his perceived wrongdoings that led to such a penalty. Nonetheless, Corellin insists that the lack of progeny will spare them from considerable agony. An ominous day is nearing, and those with offspring cannot comprehend the hardship set to befall them. Peretta, unable to bear with Corellin's revelations, abruptly seizes a rifle, shooting at him. However, Ricky employs an enigmatic instrument to mend Corellin's wound. Dr. Boyce discerns that Corellin's intent to transport animals to his home planet isn't random. Similar to Noah, he is accumulating his ark in anticipation of an imminent disaster. One evening, Peretta spies her mother's phantom. Entranced, she follows it and unfortunately takes a fall from the balcony. Amy eventually delivers a baby girl whose eyes emanates an eerie green glow. Another 4 years elapsed, and Ricky still couldn't get a grip on his intolerable pain. One particular day, Corellin pays Ricky a visit, elucidating that his race, the Overlords, are intended to modify humanity's evolutionary path. Despite an offer to assist Ricky, the latter's brooding anger over his infertility causes him to decline the assistance, demanding Corellin to depart. In an unpredictable turn, Earth's children commence showing a heightened mental capability, psychic prowess, and a mystifying mental rapport with each other as they echo the name Jennifer, while stretching their hands towards the heavens. Milo, who has been researching these evolved children recently, discovers their accelerated metabolic rate and increase in neural impulse activities. Furthermore, their capacity for astounding perceptiveness, telekinesis, and telepathy has improved. Jennifer, Milo deduced, initiated everything, and is central to this shift. The Gregson family find themselves with dozens of these evolved children lingering outside their house to meet Jennifer. A decision is made for Jake to head to New Athens in hope that it may reduce the Overlord's influence on the family. However, not long after, every evolved child starts hearing a calling from an entity named the Overmind, which they adhere to without contest. Once the Gregsons arrive in New Athens, they find people leading fairly normal lives. They're welcomed by the city's mayor, Jerry Holcroft, who assures them of his support. Albeit with trepidation, youngsters are primed to support Jennifer, influenced by the Overmind. During this period, Jake is approached by Milo, who shares that his own daughter is the channel for a powerful entity impacting children globally. Milo wishes to interrogate Jennifer, but is deeply intimidated by her, especially as he sees the Earth's impending destruction mirrored in her eyes. Coming to terms with the planet's peril, Milo resolves to secretly depart for the Overlord's planet, accompanied by a selection of zoo creatures. Milo reaches out to Rachel for assistance, although she is reluctant as Milo's travel will span 80 terrestrial years. Eventually, Rachel succumbs and aids Milo, putting him into a state of suspended animation prior to his departure to the Overlord's planet. Before slumbering, Milo leaves Rachel a pendant imprinted with a hieroglyph for love. Tragedy strikes as Ricky's ailment dramatically deteriorates, with inflammation rampantly spreading across his body. When Ricky loses consciousness, he re-experiences memories from his honeymoon with Annabelle. Corellin gives Ricky an offer, the chance to eternally stay in these cherished memories. However, Ricky sadly understands the fabricated nature of this offer and requests the memory room be destroyed. Ricky tragically passes away within Ellie's comforting embrace. The Gregson family enjoy a classic comedy flick at the cinema, replicating cherished moments of yesteryears. Suddenly, the screening is disrupted. Jennifer speaks, declaring that a momentous time has arrived. Corellin's visage graces the screen, addressing the human race one final time. He announces the closure of the golden age of humanity, where children no longer belong to adults and are on the brink of rebirth, shedding their human identities to start anew. Humans will cease to procreate, and adults are free to pursue their lives as they see fit. Jennifer, levitating above the ground, sparks a mass movement, with children across the globe following suit, causing widespread parental hysteria. Jake and Amy plea for their son Tommy to stay, and in a fleeting moment, Tommy returns to the ground, if only for a temporary respite. Tommy discloses that Jennifer had allowed him a final farewell to his parents, and now he is to join the rest of the children. Concurrently, Jerry Holcroft comes to the understanding that there is no salvation for humanity without children. Prompted by this notion, he decides to obliterate New Athens with a nuclear explosion. Jake attempts to dissuade him from his destructive path, but Jerry remains steadfast, harboring the belief that they will be reunited with their offspring post-devastation. Jake and Amy's final moments are spent declaring their love for one another, right before the catastrophic blast. The Overlord's spacecraft, after a long journey, draws nearer to a vast, fiery celestial body as Milo awakens from his suspended animation. One of the Overlords welcomes Milo aboard and shows him their home planet. Milo discovers that they've spent 40 years in transit and starts questioning what could have happened to Earth during such time. The Overlord assures Milo that the events that Earth experienced have been orchestrated by the Overmind, the creator of the entire universe. For the past 100,000 years, Overlords had been communicating and shaping planets according to the Overmind's directives. Now it was Earth's time. Milo, desiring comprehensive knowledge, requests to meet the Overmind. He finds himself in a blank space, confronted by an unknown orange figure identified as the Overmind. The so-called deity discloses that only the young can evolve into a single consciousness, while the rest of humanity faces extinction. The orange figure then metamorphoses into multiple copies of Rachel and Milo. When he awakes, he requests to return to her. Time leaps forward by another 45 years. Their spacecraft is heading towards a barren Earth. Karelin informs them about Rachel's transfer aboard the spaceship and offers Milo to see her. Yet all Milo sees is Rachel's lifeless form. He abruptly clutches her pendant, causing her body to dissolve into a multitude of particles. The pendant leaves a love hieroglyph-shaped burn on Milo's hand. Milo comprehends that he's the final human in the cosmos and, driven by desperation, entreats Karelin to return him to Earth, unable to cope with the profound loneliness. He also undertakes to document Earth's last days for the sake of advancing science. We see the scene with which the story began. Milo implores the Overlords to remember mankind, and soon perceives Jennifer further tapping into all-encompassing energy as he feels the Earth beneath him disintegrate. Ultimately, he requests for some remnants of human culture to be conserved, and Karelin opts for a piece of music from Milo's youth. Accepting Earth's impending demise, Milo experiences his final moments. This narrative occurs in the series entitled Childhood's End, which I found to be intricate and multidimensional. The melancholy tale of mankind's downfall deeply moved me. It's truly regrettable that mankind's heritage was erased in a flash, yet it gives rise to optimism for a superior life and fresh opportunities for offsprings. The thought of being the final human being certainly prompts interesting quandaries. My probable course of action would be akin to Milo's: retreat to my home and embrace Earth's apocalypse with honor. Let's engage in an intriguing discussion about this topic and the entire movie in the comments.